Begin at Philadelphia's Masonic Temple, completed in 1873 at 1 North Broad Street. Its stone exterior and 7 ornate lodge rooms turn abstract ideas about ceremony, mentorship, and inheritance into architecture. The route identifies a rainbow check-in and tour focused on jewels, symbols, and a 1922 charter. Rainbow was founded that year in McAlester, Oklahoma, by Reverend W. Mark Sexton as a youth organization teaching leadership, public speaking, service, and friendship. The rainbow colors are not merely decoration, they represent principles such as love, religion, nature, immortality, fidelity, patriotism, and service. Look at how the building makes young members conscious of posture, voice, and responsibility. A monumental room can feel intimidating, but it can also tell a girl that her presence belongs in serious spaces. The Masonic Temple is not itself a rainbow building, and local charter details should be checked against Philadelphia Assembly records. Its role here is as the fraternal setting that gives the weekend scale. Respect private areas and ceremonial boundaries. Notice the difference between what a visitor can see, architecture, public history, symbols, and what belongs to members' ritual knowledge. Then move to Reading Terminal Market, where the route takes rainbow identity out of the lodge and into the city's everyday public life. Reading Terminal Market opened in 1893 beneath the train shed of the Philadelphia and Reading Railroad. Its roots reach back to older public markets, and its original grid of aisles, food stalls, farmers, refrigeration rooms, and delivery systems made it one of the city's major food distribution centers. The route calls this a rainbow-colored lunch with themed food stations. The color theme is a playful expression of identity, but the market supplies the deeper lesson: leadership happens in public. Young members must navigate crowds, share space, make decisions, welcome people unlike themselves, and remain aware of workers whose labor keeps the market running. Compare this with the Masonic Temple. In the lodge, the room is arranged for ceremony. Here, the environment is busy, mixed, and unpredictable. A youth organization proves its values not only in formal meetings, but in how its members behave in ordinary civic space. Notice the market's sounds, smells, vendors, and constant circulation. It is a living history of migration, commerce, food traditions, and preservation. Eat respectfully, keep aisles clear, and make room for the public. Then ask what makes a group feel welcoming: matching colors, shared stories, or the small actions that help a stranger participate. From here, continue to the Hard Rock Cafe for an evening friendship dinner and karaoke, where leadership gives way to joy and performance. The Hard Rock Cafe stop is designed as a rainbow friendship dinner with karaoke. Unlike a lodge or church, a themed restaurant turns identity into celebration, music, memorabilia, food, and a room built for shared excitement. The specific dinner is part of the route program, not a historic event at the cafe, so the useful question is what this kind of venue does for a youth organization. It lets members relax after a long day, discover one another's humor, and practice being seen without the pressure of a formal office. Karaoke also turns spectators into participants. Someone holds the microphone, someone applauds, and the group learns how to encourage a nervous performer. Those are small lessons in confidence and generosity. Rainbow's official principles include service and fidelity, but service needs joy if it is going to last. A community that only asks young people to perform duty can become brittle. A community that makes room for laughter gives people reasons to return. Notice the difference between public branding and private belonging. The restaurant's music history is displayed on walls, while the group's own memories are being created at the table. Ask members which songs, jokes, or introductions they expect to remember years from now. Then carry that energy into Day 2 at Arch Street Presbyterian Church, where the route shifts from entertainment to worship and reflection. Arch Street Presbyterian Church provides the worship setting for Rainbow's second day. The route service is a local program event, while the church represents a longer tradition of congregations using sanctuaries, classrooms, and fellowship rooms to teach responsibility. Rainbow was founded with religious language in its ritual, yet modern jurisdictions welcome girls from different religious backgrounds. That makes a worship service a place for reflection rather than a claim that every member shares one theology. Notice how the sanctuary organizes attention: a central platform, shared seating, music, words, and moments of silence. Those forms can teach young people to listen as carefully as they speak. Connect this stop to the organization's 7 principles. Religion may be one principle, but service, fidelity, patriotism, and love also describe relationships between members and their communities. A church is not only a historic interior, it is an active congregation, so follow its visitor rules and do not interrupt worship. Ask what leadership looks like when no one is applauding. It may be showing up, keeping a promise, helping with setup, or listening to someone who needs support. After worship, the route moves to Green Eggs Cafe for a colorful brunch, bringing mentorship back to ordinary conversation. Green Eggs Cafe is the route's informal mentorship stop, with a colorful brunch and rainbow bagels. The menu is contemporary and the rainbow connection is programmatic, not a historic association with the cafe. That distinction helps us focus on what brunch contributes. Young people often ask their most important questions away from a podium. Over food, an adult mentor can explain an office, a ceremony, or a difficult group decision without making the conversation feel like a test. New members can speak more freely, and friendships can deepen through small choices: who shares a table, who notices a dietary need, and who invites someone into the conversation. This is how a youth organization becomes a community rather than a schedule. Compare the brunch table with the worship service. The church gives the group a shared moral rhythm. The cafe gives it a relaxed setting where people can translate ideals into daily behavior. Ask members what service means when no formal project is assigned. It can mean cleaning up, sharing credit, or making another person feel at ease. From here, travel toward Fairmount Park for the closing ceremony on the Sweetbriar Mansion lawn. Sweetbriar Mansion in Fairmount Park was built in 1797 for merchant Samuel Breck and later became part of the public park system. The route uses the lawn for a closing rainbow ceremony and a pot of gold theme. The ceremony is a local program detail. The landscape supplies a useful contrast with the Masonic temple and church. Open ground changes how a group gathers. There is room for movement, photographs, conversation, and a visible circle rather than rows facing a platform. That makes the ending feel less like a test and more like a handoff. A mansion also raises questions about preservation and access. A private estate represented one family's wealth. A public park can give the site a wider civic life, though not every history is equally visible. Rainbow's central lessons, leadership, service, friendship, and confidence, also depend on access to safe places where young people can practice them. Treat the pot of gold as a symbol of effort rather than a promise of easy reward. The organization was built through repeated meetings, service projects, mentorship, and members willing to return. End by asking each participant to name one principle they saw in action. Then continue through the park to Smith Memorial Playground, where the route turns from ceremony to play. Smith Memorial Playground has offered free play in Philadelphia for more than a century. The organization dates its founding to 1899, and its famous Ann Newman giant wooden slide was built in 1905. The site now includes 6.5 acres of play space and a historic playhouse with multiple floors of interactive activity. The route calls for Rainbow members to experience the giant slide, but the historical lesson is larger than nostalgia. Play teaches negotiation, risk assessment, persistence, imagination, and cooperation. Those are leadership skills before anyone gives them formal names. Notice how the playground is designed to invite movement rather than passive observation. Children choose where to climb, when to wait, and how to try again. A youth organization can learn from that structure. Confidence is built through supported experimentation, not through perfection. The playground also raises questions about public access. Smith is free, which makes the experience available to families who might not be able to pay for every recreational activity. Compare this with the formal spaces earlier in the route. A lodge teaches ceremony, a playground teaches agency through the body. Both require rules, but the rules serve different kinds of learning. Keep the group safe, Respect current hours and equipment guidance, and let play remain play rather than turning every moment into a lesson. From here, continue to the Please Touch Museum, where childhood curiosity becomes an intentional educational practice. Please Touch Museum began in 1976 as a small volunteer pilot program on the top floor of the Academy of Natural Sciences. It was founded around a simple idea: children learn through self-directed, hands-on play. The museum later moved to Memorial Hall. The Beaux-Arts building opened in 1876 as the main art gallery of the Centennial Exhibition. The route calls this a rainbow adventure and an imagination playground stop. That pairing connects the organization's youth leadership mission to early childhood learning. Public confidence begins before a title. It grows when children are allowed to ask questions, touch materials, test ideas, make mistakes, and be taken seriously. Memorial Hall adds a second layer, a historic civic building given new life as a place for families. This is adaptive reuse at its best when the old structure supports a new public purpose without losing its history. Notice how the museum turns curiosity into a designed environment. Exhibits invite participation, but staff and caregivers create the safety that makes experimentation possible. Rainbow members can reflect on their own mentorship. How do you encourage someone younger without taking over? How do you make room for wonder and still provide structure? Follow current admission and photography rules, and remember that the museum is for young children and families. From here, walk to Shofuso Japanese House and Garden, where the route shifts from active play to careful observation and cultural interpretation. Shofuso Japanese House and Garden is a post-war Japanese-style house in Fairmount Park, built from materials and design traditions connected to Japanese architecture and presented in Philadelphia as a site of cultural exchange. The route's Rainbow Bridge Walk is a symbolic activity, but this stop requires care. Do not treat Japanese aesthetics as a collection of decorative props. Notice the relationship among house, garden, water, stone, plants, thresholds, and controlled views. The design encourages attention to transitions rather than spectacle. That gives Rainbow members a quiet leadership lesson: moving carefully through a place is a form of respect. Shofuso also belongs to Philadelphia's history of international cultural presentation. Its meaning has changed over time through diplomacy, exhibitions, preservation, and the work of Japanese and Japanese American communities. Avoid claiming that one walk can summarize Japanese culture. Instead, ask what responsible cultural learning requires: listening to curators, following site rules, learning context, and resisting the urge to turn difference into a costume. Compare the garden with Smith Playground. One invites energetic exploration, the other teaches observation, rhythm, and restraint. Both are designed environments that shape how people relate to one another and to space. The rainbow colors can be carried here as a metaphor for plurality, but the site should remain specific to its own history. From Shofuso, continue to Covenant House, Pennsylvania for the service project, where the route brings leadership into direct contact with youth safety and care. Covenant House, Pennsylvania provides shelter and services for young people experiencing homelessness in Philadelphia. The route calls for Rainbow members to pack 150 hygiene kits, a practical service project that turns the principle of service into concrete work. The kits are not a substitute for housing, counseling, healthcare, education, or long-term support, but they can communicate dignity and meet an immediate need. That distinction matters. Good service listens to the organization already doing the work rather than assuming volunteers know best. Follow Covenant House instructions, protect residents' privacy, and do not photograph people receiving services without explicit permission. Rainbow's formal ceremonies teach leadership through roles and symbols. This stop teaches it through reliability, preparation, and humility. Someone must count supplies, follow safety rules, pack consistently, and finish the task. More importantly, members should learn that homelessness is not a character flaw. It is connected to housing costs, family conflict, violence, health, employment, foster care, and systems that fail young people. Covenant House describes its mission around safety, support, and possibility. Let that mission reshape the rest of the route. The Masonic temple gave the weekend structure, the market and restaurants gave it fellowship, the church gave it reflection, the playground and museum gave it curiosity, and Shofuso gave it attention. Covenant House asks what those values are for. The answer is service that makes another person's life more possible. End by inviting members to reflect on one action they can continue after the tour, because leadership is measured by what remains when the event is over.